Good evening and welcome to episode 5 of the Private Property web series brought to you by PPC. It is our final installment of this incredible series where we've taken you down a journey of handling your home improvement, making sure that you make the right decisions when you're buying a home, and of course leading up to what we're going to be talking about this evening. And our topic this evening is when you're building, you're essentially building more than just a home. You're really building a house that is building for the safety of your family. So you want to make sure that you choose the right contractor when you build your home. So we're going to be looking at what goes into choosing the right contractor, what are some of the things that you need to be looking out for, and some of the authoritative bodies that you want to make sure that your contractors either are contracted with or registered with, and really understanding the nature of the questions that you should be asking them. And you're probably wondering then, who am I joined this evening with who's going to help us better understand choosing the right people who are going to, of course, build that new haven for us. And to wrap up our web series this evening, I'm joined by Roy Mnisi, who is Masters Builders South Africa Executive Director. Roy, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Zama.
I mean, Roy, I think one of the first things before we even look at some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to choosing the right contractor, the things that we must be looking out for, the kind of budget that we probably need to be mindful of, maybe let's look at what MBSA is. I'm sure there are probably viewers at home who are maybe not very clued up about what MBSA is and the work that MBSA does. Perhaps take us through what it is and the work that MBSA focuses on.
Thank you very much, Zama. As the name itself suggests, Master Builders South Africa, it's a federation of employers in the construction sector. We have got a membership of about 4,000 in various regions in South Africa. So everywhere you are, you have MBA, Master Builders Association offices. We are primarily responsible for promoting and protecting the interests of our members, many of whom are builders. Thank you very much.
And Roy, I'm sure now viewers at home, and this is, particularly when we look at what we're going to be talking about, when you're looking at a home improvement or even building your own home, somewhere along the lines of your home ownership journey, this is something that a lot of people at home are going to deal with. Perhaps take us through some of the things that we need to be looking out for when it comes to choosing the right contractor. There's so many people right now in the market, and viewers at home perhaps don't know what are some of the things we should be watching out for when we want to choose the right contractor.
Thank you very much, Zama. I like your opening statement when you said that building a home, it's more than just that. It's actually a family investment that in one way or the other, all of us have to do. So it is important to link our discussion directly to home building as compared to any other form of building, because building is not about home building, but home building, it's one area that we all have to go through. There are many things that home builders, or rather home consumers, need to be aware of when they embark on a home building project. The first one, like any other thing that we do in our lives, is to make sure that you plan your project properly. You need to make sure that you have got a good understanding of what you want. What do you want to achieve? What will your final product look like? You need to look at your costing. Do you have enough money to be able to achieve the house or home that you want to develop? And that will depend on variety of things. For example, where are you building? Are you building in the rural areas? Are you building in suburban areas, and so forth? Because there are just a lot of things that you need to be aware of. So it starts with the planning and making sure that you plan your budget properly. You make sure that what you want, it's in line with what you are able to put together in terms of your budget. If you are in an area that you can get a home loan from the bank or any financial institution as well, you need to make sure that such is adequate for you to be able to complete the house that you want to build. And secondly, what is very much important, you need to also make sure that you understand the requirements that you have got to comply with in a given environment or area. I'll give an example. If you are building, for example, in the suburban area, you have got to make sure that you familiarize yourself with approval requirements of your local authority or your municipality, because municipalities are approving your building plans. Municipalities have got building ordinances and regulations that you have got to comply with. If you're building, for example, in the villages or in the rural areas, the requirements are less stringent that side, but you still have to make sure that you understand what are the requirements in those areas as well, because there are also requirements. So those are some of the things that you need to be aware of. Let me move quickly to the appointment of a contractor, which is the most important part of the entire process. Even if you plan properly, that planning can be affected by a contractor that is not actually qualified to build your home, or by a contractor that is not using good material to build your home. So it is very much important that that process of identifying a credible home builder, it's taken very, very, very carefully. So there are stages that you need to follow, and if you want me to go through them, I'll go through them very quickly. Number one, if you are not sure what kind of a builder you're looking at, you have got your local Master Builders Association, wherever you will be. I mean, each and every province has got, it belongs to a Master Builders Association. You can go to your local Master Builders Association and ask for a list of contractors around the area where you want to build. Master Builders Association will be able to give you a list of contractors that you can contact for the purpose of getting the quotation, for the purpose of discussing your housing requirements. And those people are qualified builders, are qualified home builders that knows what you need to do. So it's not only about building. They should be able to advise you as to what you need to do before you get to the process of actual building. They'll advise you in terms of compliance, in terms of making sure that your house is enrolled, for example, with the NHBRC. I will talk to that at a later stage, and making sure that the budget that you have, it's in line with the type of the house that you're looking for. But that doesn't end there. The appointment entails looking at more than one contractor that is available in your area, getting quotations, comparing the prices, getting references. Ask your builder to give you references. Ask your builder to even show you the houses that he has been able to build. Where necessary, you can even visit those properties, talk to the owners about their experience with a particular builder, so that you get to understand the workmanship of the builder and the ability of the builder in respect of the quality and in respect of dealing with his client and so forth. So those are some of the things that we encourage housing consumers to not take for granted. Thank you.
And Roy, I think so many of us would very easily take things like that for granted. You probably have an ambition of whether doing a home renovation project, and it's something that we've spoken about in one of our earliest episodes in this web series, or perhaps you want to add additional rooms in your yard because you want to make a bit of extra money and turning those into rental units that you can probably rent out. We take for granted the importance, as you're mentioning, of making sure that we plan adequately, that we make sure that we have a budget and we're able to stick to it. And we've shared even in past episodes the importance of using, the PPC tool, calculator as a tool that you can use when you want to even get a sense of some of the material that you need and perhaps even the cost or the quantity. And I like what you've mentioned here about when you choose the contractor, one of the things that you want to look out for is to speak to other people that they've worked with, so that you can almost compare the quality of their work. Because one thing that's important, and it is something that we that we've certainly emphasized this evening, Roy, is the importance of understanding that when you're building that home, it isn't just for you, but it really is a safe haven for you and your family, and probably something that you'd want to be able to pass down to your family, whether your children or your grandchildren in the future. So it's so crucial that you don't make the mistake of using the wrong contractor when you are working on that home renovation or certainly building your home. One of the things I want us to touch on, Roy, when we come back from this break is how do we then go about establishing whether a contractor is a credible contractor. You've mentioned a little bit about the NHBRC. And as you said, I want us to touch on that about the relationship that MBSA and NHBRC actually have when it comes to us checking, the contractors that we're working with. Because I'm sure viewers at home are thinking, okay, now that I am starting to, plan, I've got my budget together, I'm using my PPC calculator, how do I then make sure that the guy that I've already, spoken to is in fact registered, and that when, they do the work, I'll be able to hold them accountable because they are properly registered with the right authoritative body. So we're going to go for a quick break, and when we come back from this, we certainly also want to hear from you. How has building your own home, how has that process been, and what has the journey with the contractor been? I mean, we have so many horror stories. I've certainly heard a number of horror stories. I think I've also had my own horror stories when it comes to finding the right contractor. It's almost like you're on a speed date because you're trying to find the right person who understands your vision for the project that you have, has the right price point, but is also credible and will also use quality products for the home that they are about to build for you. And those are such important ingredients to make sure that you have a really quality product at the end and that you're happy with the state of your home at the end of the day. We're going to go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be hearing from you about your journey with finding that right contractor and what were some of the things that you had to look out for when you were searching for that contractor. We'll be back just after this. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Private Property web series brought to you by PPC. This evening I'm joined by Roy Mnisi, who's the Executive Director of Master Builders South Africa. And we're talking about building more than just a house. When you're building a home, you're building your place of safety. And you want to make sure that you work with the right team, you work with the right tools, and work with the quality products that are needed to ensure that your home is not only safe for your family, but also lasts for a very long time. It is, of course, episode 5 of this special web series that we've been running with PPC. And if you've missed some of our other episodes, rather, you certainly do want to go back and catch up on these incredible episodes that we've been running. We've looked at topics such as, what to look out for when you buy your first home. That is the episode that we kicked off. Those are some of the things that, whether it's cracked walls or perhaps damp in the wall, those are some of the areas that could potentially cost you a lot of money. And you want to better understand, if you are buying a property that has some of those issues, how do you go about fixing them? How do you go about choosing the right products in order for you to fix them? And of course, PPC has an incredible calculator that you're able to use as a tool in order to establish how much product you're going to use, the type of product you're going to use that will help you make the right decision to make sure that once you've bought that home, you're able to make the right fixtures for you. We've also, of course, looked at, making sure that you build homes that will stand the test of time. And we spoke to Ulrich, who is from Bolwin Properties, is the Chief Projects Officer in that episode. And really, if anybody can talk about building properties or building homes that withstand the test of time, it would certainly be somebody from Bolwin Properties who've been building for quite a number of years. So do go back to that episode. It was episode 3 where we explored that. And of course, go back to some of our other episodes. We do have the link here below that that's certainly something that you do not want to miss. But to this evening's conversation, of course, our last episode on this special series, we're talking about choosing the right contractor, because it's such an important thing. There's so many people right now in the market who are saying they can't get the job done, but making sure that you work with the right team and who have really good craftsmanship is so important. Roy mentioned earlier, the NHBRC, and I wanted us to explore then, Roy, what exactly is the role of, MBSA as well as the NHBRC when it comes to the process of ensuring credibility? Because viewers at home now know that it's important for us to plan, to understand our budget, but also choose credible contractors. So what's the role of these two organizations when it comes to ensuring credibility of the contractors that we're going to be working with?
Thank you once again, Zama. Fortunately, South Africans are protected as consumers, or as housing consumers, let me put it that way. Let me start with what we do as Master Builders South Africa, together with our Master Builders Association. Every contractor that comes to Master Builders Association wants to be a member. There's a process in terms of which that contractor or that home builder, if you like, has got to subscribe to a particular code of conduct, the manner in which that person carries him or herself with his clients. Secondly, there's the aspect of quality. Our members are expected to be able to offer a certain type of quality before we can actually take them as our members. So there and there, as a housing consumer, you already have assurance that this person affiliates to this particular body. Therefore, as a result of that, I am likely to get a person that subscribes to a particular way of doing things, and over and above that, this person is a person that is able to do what he says he is going to do. Another point that I need to make: we also deal with dispute resolution. Dispute resolution that also protects housing consumers as well. If you come to your local Master Builders Association and say, this is your member, and these are the challenges that we have in terms of the contract, we're able to look at the contract and find ways in which we can assist you to deal with the problem. Let me go to the legal protection, which is in terms of the Housing Consumer Protection Measures Act of 1998, if my memory serves me well. It's an act of parliament that protects housing consumers against housing defect. But the protection only happens if you have appointed a builder that is registered with the NHBRC. If that builder as well has actually enrolled your house before the house is being built. So NHBRC has got its processes of making sure that the people that are registered as home builders and the people that are enrolling homes of housing consumers are actually in a position to discharge their role. So if it happens, or should it happen, that the house is not of good quality, you are able to go to NHBRC and make a claim. So that contractor will be required to make good the defect. In the event that the contractor will not be able to do so, NHBRC assures you that quality. They come in and correct the defect on your house. So those are some of the protection that South African law offers to housing consumers. So that is there. It has already been there. We urge housing consumers to make sure that before their homes are being built, those homes are enrolled and those home builders are registered with NHBRC as well.
And Roy, that's such an important thing to note, because I'm sure so many of us probably didn't even know that when you're doing that housing project, and it doesn't even matter what the scale of it is, especially if you're having additional rooms or perhaps, back cottages, that the moment that project is enrolled, there are, as you say, certain safety measures in place. Perhaps share with our viewers at home how they would then go about, accessing those remedies. Because in the event where they do then find a contractor, let's suppose there are, registered with NHBRC, and this contractor doesn't do the work according to what is meant to be done? What are some of the steps that people at home would essentially need to take in order to mitigate that?
Yes, the process of home building itself, it depends whether it's a full home building where you're starting your house from the beginning, or whether it's a renovation. The renovations are easier, but when you're starting your house from the scratch, that's when you have got to make sure that your home builder, as I've indicated earlier on, it's a registered home builder. You have got to make sure that the house itself it's enrolled. So there are inspections in between. NHBRC is able to send inspectors to come and inspect the house before the house has been completed. At some point, I mean, it doesn't happen that the house is inspected, the house can be completed without the inspection. But the moment you realize that the house may have structural defect or the house may have a problem, that's when you can approach NHBRC and they will send somebody to come and inspect it. After inspection, they will have inspection report which will actually indicate what needs to be done. So that's where the protection is coming from. But over and above that, there are simple areas which I want to cover, because we shouldn't be talking about the complex part alone. We should be talking about the simpler part where you are just renovating and maybe adding to your house one room or so. We get a lot of questions from members of the public who say, but how do I know how many bags of cement, because I don't have to go out and employ a professional.
Thank you so much for that one, Roy. I think one of the really great things that I've come to learn, even from some of the other guests that we've had here on this special web series, is of course that PPC calculator that viewers at home are able to use, which helps you get a better understanding of some of the material that you're going to use, the quantity of the material you're going to use. It really is almost like having your own, mini quantity surveyor on your screen, because you're able to say, I want to add one room, or perhaps you want to build a wall. You enter your dimensions, and it will tell you exactly what you need. So it certainly is a great tool for people who are looking to do, whether it's house renovation or building your house from scratch, and really just gives you a good sense of what you should be, doing your estimations in your planning and even your budgeting stage. But Roy, of course, one of the other things that people sometimes make is, and we've been giving viewers at home tips when it comes to choosing the right contractor, sometimes we make mistakes, right, when it comes to choosing the right contractor, and mistakes that cost us quite a significant amount of money down the line, whether it's mistakes where you use a contractor who doesn't use quality products, or perhaps a contractor who just goes silent for long periods of time, and then they emerge months later, saying, oh, now they're ready to complete the project. Perhaps take us through some of the common mistakes that you find that people at home, or certainly people who've built houses or done various extensions or renovations, some of the mistakes that they make when they're choosing a contractor to work with them. Because I think if one thing is for certain is we want to avoid those mistakes, whether it's mistakes that are going to cost us money or mistakes that are going to cost us time.
Much, Zama. Indeed, there are a few things that members of the public need to be aware of. What we experience mainly is that home builders, they most probably take the cheapest contractor, thinking that they will be able to save some money. And in most instances, that's not the case, because you have got to make sure that the contractor that you appoint, it's a contractor that will be able to complete your house using the very same budget that you agreed upon, and using the quality material that you agreed upon as well. But if you just get the cheapest on the market, that contractor may not be able to finish your project with the budget or with your estimate that you thought you are going to spend. We have seen a lot of times wherein contractors, some of the contractors that are not registered contract, will leave the project halfway, and you as a consumer, you have already spent all the money that you had for the project. So that is commonplace in many areas, and we urge members of the public to be very much careful when it comes to that. The other point that needs to be mentioned is the contractual side of it. No matter how small the project is, we encourage members of the public to ensure that they reduce their agreement in writing. For home building, MBSA, for example, has got house building contract that contractors are buying. So look at that contract, because it's drafted in a way that it protects both the contractor as well as the housing consumer. So there you know for sure that things that are stipulated in the contract are things that the contractor have to do. You must at all times avoid what we call gentleman's agreement, wherein you speak to the contractor says, definitely, I am going to build you a double story for 80,000 rand. It doesn't happen that way. You are likely to face problems in the long run. Even in the issue of material themselves, sit with your builder, understand exactly what type of material is the contractor going to use, be it on the bricks itself, be it on the finishes of the house, the roof, and so forth. So that is very much important, because if you just agree without even reducing it to writing, when you have got a problem in the long run, I mean halfway through your building project, you realize that you are not actually getting what you're supposed to be getting. So that is why it becomes so important and critical that the contractor that you appoint is a registered contractor, that if things don't go well according to the plan, you know it's easier for you to get a legal recourse and corrections where certain things need to be corrected.
And I actually quite like that, Roy, because we're so used to, that handshake agreement, especially when you look at the, building and construction industry. You think you'd find the right contractor, you have a great conversation with them, and they agree that this is what they're going to do. They even start taking measurements, and you don't go to the effort of making sure that you sit down, you understand what needs to be done, and also putting a contract in place. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of people who, especially do home renovations or building their home from scratch, who would have that contract in place. If anything, you kind of take it that your contractor is reliable and they're going to do what they say they're going to do. Now, Roy, one of the things that we've spoken about throughout this web series is the importance, and we've also touched on it even in our conversation, is the importance of using quality contractors, but also using quality products. And of course, PPC has a wide variety of various products that viewers at home can speak to. We've spoken about some of them and the different needs that you might have, and the various products that PPC in particular has in order to meet your different needs, regardless of how big or small your particular home renovation is. Perhaps take us through, the importance of us understanding then even the quality of the material that's going to be used. Because, I mean, viewers at home might want to maybe save a few rands here and there and perhaps not go with the best quality products, which obviously is going to compromise the quality of the, the end product at the end. So perhaps take us through the importance of choosing quality products when you're doing your home renovations, and being able to sit down with your contractor and saying, actually, these are the kinds of products that I want us to be able to use, because I know that when I build with these, I'm going to be building something that is going to last and even outlast me.
Okay, thank you very much, Zama. That's a very important one as well, and it mainly happens in building-only contracts, wherein the housing consumer will say, you as the contractor, I want you to build for me. I will go and buy the material myself. It becomes so important that the housing consumer must familiarize him or herself with the quality products on the market. It's a very difficult process, and how to go about that is to make sure that you go to reputable shops as well. Your builder should be able to help you and guide you in the process. In villages, for example, when you go to a retail shop, construction retail shop, you will find a consumer and a builder busy buying there, using quotations, so that your builder makes sure that the material that you are actually buying are material that are meeting certain required standards in the country. You're not just getting anything that is on the shelves. So that is very much important as well. But even in the instance of members of the public buying themselves. I mean, when you get to the shop, there are people there that will guide you. There are people there that will assist you in terms of making sure that the products that you are getting are products that are certified to be safe, for example, are products of good quality. I'm talking about the building material here. So you are likely not to get it wrong if you make sure that you are assisted by people that know. I mean, some of these shops, they make sure that products that are sold in their shops are products of good quality, of a certain standard as well. So those are some of the things that you need to look at. You don't just go to any other shops, because we've got a lot of shops that are selling material that are not of good standards. There are certain products that have to be certified by certifying and standards authorities in the South African market. For example, the South African Bureau of Standards. I'm just using that as an example. So all those are some of the things that as a housing consumer, more especially if you are buying material yourself, you need to make sure that you check. Even in instance where you are appointing a contractor to go and buy the material for you, there's nothing wrong about you asking which material, which brand, for example, are you going to use to build my house and so forth. So those are some of the things that we all have to take into account when we walk the journey of building our homes. It's not something that you just have to leave to a contractor and you let the contractor will do it without you. But I think where possible, you must be able to engage and understand what type of products, what type of material your builder is going to use on your property, because that's very key and important.
And that certainly is something that is quite important. Roy, we're going to leave it there this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Zama, for talking to us. Thanks very much for the opportunity.
And that is Roy Mnisi, who is the Master Builders South Africa Executive Director, and of course taking us through the importance of choosing the right contractor, looking at some of the mistakes you want to avoid, and of course making sure that you choose quality products, because you're not just building a home for yourself, but of course it is a place of safety for you and your family, and a structure that you want to make sure lasts for years to come. Well, that brings an end to an incredible web series that we've been doing here at Private Property, of course brought to you by PPC, and we've looked at certain topics that are so important when you're looking at really building that home for you and your family. Things what to look out for when you're starting to buy out your first property. What are some of the things that you want to make sure when you're doing any home developments? So sharing various tips and tricks when you're doing your home development, and also looking at making sure that you are making the right decisions when you're choosing the team that you want to work with, making sure that you're choosing people who are accredited, whether it is with NHBRC, but also being able to tap into the work that MBSA essentially do. And of course, when you're doing your home renovations or working on your home, one of the big things that you want is also to save some money on the side. You don't want to do this by cutting corners, as we've spoken about in one of our episodes, but you want to do it the right way. And one of those right ways is, of course, to make sure that you sign up for the PPC Sure Rewards program that gives you money back for every bag of cement that you buy. That's it. You get money back from every bag of cement that you buy. We have shared the details of how you go about actually getting that money back down here below. So make sure that you sign up for that program and really make sure that you enjoy the journey of making a home out of the house that you've either bought or built or are currently living in. It is something that you want to be able to last for a very long time and be able to enjoy with your family, and also have friends over, and of course be able to be a place that is safe and you and your family can be proud of. That's it from me, Zamantungwa Kumalo. It's been really great, and I do hope that you enjoyed the journey of improving your home, buying your home, and making those nice additions that really make you proud to show off your place as much as possible. Do keep in touch with us right here below. We want to hear all about your home renovation journey, the story that you have around the contractor that you've chosen. Let's keep this conversation going on our social media platform. That's it from us here on Private Property, as well as PPC on this special web series.